Well, good morning. My name is Tommy Wynn here at Neighborhood Nerds. Today is Saturday, September 13th at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. Welcome our online listeners. We've got a nice crowd here in the office this morning. What we're going to go over today is the tech speak, basic terms in tech lingo. We're going to define some of the basic ones. You might hear them, from talking to computer people or the phone technician or the AT&T representative or whoever it is. So we might go over some of the terms that people throw around and you may not know what they are. And so this should help you moving forward. Now, if you're dealing with a neighborhood nerd, we're pretty good at translating that tech speak into everyday language. So if you're dealing with one of us, it's usually a little bit easier to work with. But this is going to give you some basic knowledge. So you don't need any tools today. You don't need any phones, any computers, nothing like that. But if you want to take notes, we've got scratch paper around if you want to take notes. Also, we do recommend taking notes. It doesn't have to be extensive, but that way jot some things down to kind of refresh your memory. Today's course should last about 45 minutes, so right on time. We'll leave room for questions and answers. So, if during a slide you have a question about something, feel free to raise your hand or just blurt it out, and we'll answer it right then and there. But if there's a bigger question that you think should wait till the end, just wait till the end. We'll have about 5-10 minutes for answers at the end. So, all right, without further ado, let me go down here and start the slideshow, or should I say the keynote. All right, we're going to hit play. So here we go, Tech Speak Volume 1. The reason why we did Volume 1 is we ended up with a list of like 80 or 100 items. Okay? There's no way we can do that in 45 minutes or an hour even. So we're going to do about a third of them today. So we're going to have a Volume 2 and then we're going to have a Volume 3 as well. So we'll start with the very basics today. So there it is, defining basic terms. So here's kind of the timeline for what's going to happen today. Introduction, just a little bit about Neighborhood Nerds, what we're about, and then our services. We're going to start with the dark side. All the things that are going on. You read in the news, people hacking into accounts, people putting viruses on people's computers, all these bad guys doing silly stuff. So we're going to kind of define those first. We feel like those are important just so you know how to protect yourself better, or if you have a certain problem. Then we're going to go take a break if you need to, and we've got some more terms, and then we're going to show you how to get in touch with us. So here it is. So our story, Neighborhood Nerds has been around since 2012. Our first location is right here in Sequoia Hills. We have a great client base. You guys have really made us what we are. We strive to do better for you every day, but we're right here in the Neighborhood Nerds Sequoia Hills Center. What we do is, it's not just fixing stuff, it's not just, installing stuff. It's actually education and training and empowerment, helping you do what you want to do better. Because everybody's got technology these days. You can't get around it. You can't run a business without some sort of technology. That's just impossible. So we're here to help you make that transition a little bit easier. So that's what we're about. So like I said, we're going to start with the dark side. So it sounds kind of scary, but the dark side. So these are things and terms that get kind of tossed around a little bit. You hear it often either in the news or, your friends are talking about it, or like I said, you're talking to a phone technician or someone that comes to your house and they're using these terms. We'll start with malware. Malware is a combination of two words. It's short for malicious software. And so malware is a really broad term. It can mean anything. It can mean a number of things. But it's the definition here that we're going to use is any software used to disrupt computer operation, gather sensitive information, or gain access to private systems. So if you got a piece, if your internet browser got a toolbar, and it's popping up advertisement and things like that, that's malware. It's really annoying. It just disrupts the way you work on your computer. Or if you have a piece of software that gets installed on your computer and it's requesting money from you, to get rid of it, that's malware. Or a lot of our clients get these fake Adobe Flash updaters. A lot of our clients get those. That's malware. It's putting stuff on your computer that you didn't want there. That could do it harm, could not do it harm. You don't know, but you don't want it there. So that's what malware is. It's a general, like I said, it's a general term used for a variety of forms. And some of them can be intrusive, as in they are on your computer to destroy it, to be bad. Some of them are very passive, as in they're just on your computer, you can't see it, but they're logging all your keystrokes. So malware is kind of scary, but again, it's a broad term. It can be benign or it can be very bad. But generally, when you hear malware, usually it's referring to an infected computer. When your computer's got problems, it's got malware. Fortunately, though, there are many ways to defend against them and many ways to get rid of them once they're installed on your computer. So a number of tools that we use is Malwarebytes. It's a free tool. Hitman Pro is another one that we use. So if any of your computers get infected, when you bring it to us, there's a number of tools that we run on them to get rid of malware. So any questions about malware or ransomware or spyware, all that good stuff? Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes it comes up like that, and it's hard to get it on.
Absolutely.
I mean, they come up there and you take places where you go to,
Yeah, and they're designed that way. They're designed for you not to know how to close it out, and they have fake buttons where if you try to close it out with the wrong, it comes something else. Yeah, so you're stuck in this vicious cycle.
Right.
Yeah, so it's very frustrating. Yeah, it is. We're going to have another course on malware and how you can prevent malware and how you can get rid of malware once you're infected.
So is that something you can bring in and y'all can clean it up?
Absolutely. So most forms of malware, just bring your computer in. We can help you clean it up. Or a lot of this stuff we can do remotely. So it just depends on how infected your computers are. We can actually do it over the phone. I can log into your computer remotely and fix it from there. So that's malware. Any other questions before we move on to the next slide? Okay. So this next one here is called Adware, and it's advertising supported software. It's any software package which automatically renders advertisements in order to generate revenue for its author. So Adware is not necessarily malware. It's not necessarily malicious, but it's software that's installed on your computer that has ads, that have pop-ups, that sort of thing. And they're more annoying than they are vicious. They don't really do harm to your computer, but it's annoying to have this pop-up that you have to get rid of all the time. And a lot of times Adware's type software is free, because it's designed the revenue model is for the advertisements. Every time you click on the advertisement, somebody makes a few cents, that sort of thing. So that's Adware. Not too much else to say about it. Bloatware is a term that you might hear common. It's used really, it primarily refers to the software that's pre-installed on your computer. For example, if you go to the store or if you order a computer online, it's going to be shipped with the computer, and it's going to come with a bunch of software that you probably will never use, that you'll probably never need. Cyberlink, Wild Tangent Games, all of these things that gets popped up on your computer, and you don't know, you can't get rid of it. It's just there. It also refers to apps that are installed on your phone. So let's say you go to the store and bring home an Android phone, right? Depending on which carrier you're with, let's say you're with Sprint or Verizon or AT&T, you'll have Sprint-specific apps, Verizon-specific apps. Like you'll get a NASCAR app from Sprint, or you'll get the NFL mobile app from Verizon, and a bunch of other apps that you probably don't want to use or don't need to use, but you can't get rid of them. And that's what makes them bloatware. They're just bloat. They're extra. You don't need them. Now, are some of them useful? Yeah. If you're a big NASCAR fan, that Sprint NASCAR app is probably awesome. But for the majority of people, it's just annoying for us to have to deal with them because we don't care for that app. And the reason why bloatware exists is for the money. It kind of lowers the cost of the manufacturing of the phone because you got these software, kind of these sponsors that are getting money to get their apps on the phone. So there was a while where Blockbuster had an app that came with Sprint phones, and that was before Blockbuster. They're gone.
Can we get rid of those bloatware?
Most of them you can. You can, yes, sir. Yeah. So, for example, if we order a computer for a client, let's say we get a Dell, right? Dell's actually been pretty good about not putting so much bloatware if you get their business computers. It's pretty basic installation where there's not a lot of extra applications. But let's say you get a computer from Neighborhood Nerds. What we do is called a nerd setup. We go in and we get rid of all that extra bloatware. So when you get it, it's just what you need and nothing else. So, and you know, Apple computers and iPhones, there are applications that come pre-installed that you could consider bloatware, but most of them it's relatively non-bloated because Apple manufactures their own computers, it's their own stuff, so they don't have software partners that that push their applications on their computers and their phones. So like when you get an iPhone, you rarely see, or if ever, see like a Verizon app on there or a Sprint app. You don't see that stuff because Apple, they're a big company. They can kind of change the rules a little bit and do what they want to do. So the next one is another form of malware. It's spyware. So spyware is really dangerous. This type of thing is usually linked to criminal activity where they are trying to steal your credit card information. They're trying to steal your email password. They're trying to steal your bank account password. They're trying to steal any type of credentials and information from you as possible. So when you hear the term spyware, it's usually that sort of activity. It's a piece of software that gets installed on your computer that tracks what you do. It can track things like what you're searching, what websites you go to. It's really kind of dangerous to get spyware. But again, there are tools to get rid of it. And
How do you know you have it?
a lot of times you don't. A lot of times you don't, unless the malware or the spyware has pop-ups that that pop up and it's obvious. A lot of times they run in the background. Some of the symptoms of these types of things, of any type of infection, is your computer's running slow, right? It takes 2 minutes, 8 minutes to boot up, and when it normally takes 30 seconds. So that's the first symptom. The second symptom is while you're using the computer, it's slow. Normally you open up a web page and it gets there immediately. Now it's taken an extra 30 seconds to load up a web page. And that's because the spyware is probably doing some bad things in the background. And the third way to know it is your email account's been hacked. Someone has a hold of your email and then they're sending out spam to their friends and they call you up, hey, Heath, you're sending out spam. And so those are different ways, but it's designed to be tricky. It's designed to run in the background. You're not supposed to know it's there. But like I said, the first symptom is that your computer's just running slow, and it needs to be tuned up. And we will catch, most, if not all, spyware on the first or second sweep. Most of the time, we can catch all of that. There are times where it's so deep and it's so ingrained that we have to run some extra diagnostics.
Can you do that over the phone?
No, that is something that we would prefer to do here because that could take some time. We don't want you to be on the phone for an hour and a half with us while we're fixing that. So this is the type of service, and if you're a client of Neighborhood Nerds, this is included with your membership. You can just bring it in, we'll take care of it.
So I can bring in this, just leave it.
Just leave it with us. You see all these desktops here? They have some sort of issue. So the way the memberships work with Neighborhood Nerds, I'll mention that real quick, is depending on which plan you're on, you get so many in-store support sessions per month. So for the mansion plan, you get, I think, 8. The house plan, you get 4, and the condo plan, you get 2. And you can use those. You don't have to use them, but you can use them. You can use them as training. You can come in and train with us, or you can use them as a tune-up for your computer, laptop, desktop, phone.
When you buy a new computer, and should you not transfer your information from your old one because you might put all that junk in it?
That's a very good question. So most of the junk, like the spyware and the malware, most of those are programs. We never transfer the programs from an old computer to a new one. We transfer just the data. So that includes your documents, your spreadsheets, your pictures, your music. The viruses and the junk like that, they generally do not attach to those files. So we transfer those over, no problem. But then we run a scan just to make sure that we caught everything that should have been caught.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, because transferring your files is not it's not dangerous as long as you do it properly and you scan for the viruses and the malware as you do it. That's a good question. Okay. And then the last thing we'll talk about here is the virus. So you hear this term virus a lot, right? So a lot of times the word virus gets used for all of this. And technically it's not. It's just been known to do. So a virus is a program, it's on your computer, and if you think of a virus, they kind of multiply, right? A virus in real, like a medical virus, it's designed to get into your system and then multiply and reproduce itself. That's what really, that's the origin of the virus in the computer term. So it infects one computer, and it's designed to infect all the computers around it. And so it's really usually there to, it started, off as people doing pranks, silly pranks on people, but then bad guys decided we can leverage this to make money or just to ruin people's days. It's really bad, but yeah, these things are pretty nasty, and there's all sorts of viruses out there, and that's why we recommend antivirus. There's all sorts of good antivirus out there. A lot of them are free. One system that we're using now is Bitdefender, and that's what I think we've got on several systems. AVG is another one that's out there that's pretty good. Should you pay for antivirus? Our general suggestion is no. The free stuff is usually pretty good for what you need to do. But if you're in a business environment and you want to lock down the computers to really protect yourself, then yeah, you should pay for antivirus. But if you're just a casual user at home, the free stuff is usually pretty good.
What was the first one you said?
Bitdefender. Bitdefender. B-I-T Defender. Yep.
So if you have everything backed up,
it can include a virus. That's the dangerous thing about viruses. So there's.
So it'll erase Carbonite and Cloud and.
Now, Carbonite. The thing about Carbonite is it doesn't back up your whole computer. It backs up your data and your files. Well, it depends on which type of backup you're using with Carbonite. Carbonite does support. It's called a system image, and it backs up the whole computer, which would include the viruses. But most of the time, the default is Carbonite only backs up your data, like your documents, your music, your pictures, that sort of stuff. And the viruses usually don't get attached to those files.
And what do they usually get attached to?
They usually get installed as a program or what's called a service. A service is a program that you don't use. It's just what the computer uses. Like let's say connecting to the internet, right? That's a program, but you don't use it. You don't actively connect to the internet. That's a service because the computer is doing it for you. So that's the type of thing that the virus gets attached to. So you don't, it's not impossible, but we do see it. You download a picture and the virus was part of the picture. That happens, but it's not quite as often. Yeah. Now another common question we get is, can I get a virus on my Mac? The short answer is yes. They're out there. The Mac users they've gained a lot of market share. There's a lot of Mac users out there now. In the past, 5, 6, 10 years ago, it was mostly PCs, mostly Windows-based computers, and so that's why those virus authors or hackers, they wrote in for PCs, and that's why you saw a lot more hacks on Windows computers than you did on Macs. Nowadays, with so many people using Mac operating system, they're more, and they have to get creative because the Mac operating system is built on what's called Unix, and it's an operating system as well, and it is a Unix system, but it has a little bit more security features built into it than Windows does. That can be argued for days, of course, which one's more secure versus the other. But as long as you're doing the right things, not clicking on bad links. If you get an email from somebody that you don't recognize, don't click on what they have to tell you. Those example emails are like, hey, I have a video for you to watch. You don't know what that is, and it could take you to some place, and it could download bad things on your computer and mess up, and check out your email and get your password, and it can be bad. So to protect yourself, antivirus is a good step. Don't click on things you don't know. It's always a good idea. Now, can you get malware and things like that on your iPhones and your Android phones? The short answer is yes, I'm there too. But it's really hard to, as long as you're not installing illegal apps or like I said, clicking on bad links and advertisement that's designed to get you. So just got to be careful with that. And we're going to have a whole class on security. So we'll go more into detail on how you better protect yourself later. But
so could you all have a free program remotely?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't have anything on that.
I don't believe you do either. But yeah, so there are free programs that we can install, and that is something that we can definitely do remotely. Yep. All right. So moving on here. So we'll define. So you probably heard the term hacker, before. What is a hacker? What is that about? Hackers are the word for hacker, I should say, is kind of an interesting one. It's been more used these days as a negative thing than it is a positive thing, because when you think of hack, you're thinking of hacking somebody's email, or hacking in somebody's website, or hacking in somebody's security system. That's what you think that when you normally hear the word hacker. But in really, the original hackers were people who hacked code, who made code or made programs and computer systems do what they're not supposed to do. And a lot of times back in the day was to do something better with it. You know, you're given this computer, I'm going to hack it to make it do something awesome, something different. Or I have a phone here, I'm going to hack it to make it do something you normally couldn't do. Like I could use it to work as a flashlight, for example. Now that's a normal feature nowadays, but a few years ago it wasn't. But these days hackers are synonymous to bad guys and criminal activity because people do hack for illegal purposes. But generally it just means that you're trying to gain access to something that you're not supposed to have access to, or it wasn't designed to do it that way. So. You know, you can call chopsticks. Using chopsticks is a hack. You know, 10,000 to 20,000 years ago, however long the chopstick's been around, somebody took two sticks together and used it as an instrument to eat their food. That's a hack because you're using something that's not supposed to. It wasn't designed that way. Sticks weren't designed to be used as food. And you know, you can say the same thing for a fork or a spoon or all these things. Humans are, you know, we're just naturally curious and we want to invent something new. And that's really the heart of hacking, is to do something that it wasn't designed to do it that way. Can it be good? Yes. Can it be bad? Also, yes. So phishing is another term. Synonymous, you know, that phishing is bad. It's not the type of phishing where you put a reel in the water and catch some fish for dinner. This is the worst kind of phishing. It starts with a PH, not an I or not an F. But this type of phishing is designed, and it's kind of the concept is very similar. It's for you to lure. It's the hackers or the bad guys or the criminals. They're trying to lure you in so you can give them your information. They caught you, so they fished you. So what it is a lot of times it's a forged message. It's a fake message from, and it could be from Apple. It could be from UPS. It could look much like. And it looks. They do. It's uncanny a lot of times. These messages look identical to one that Apple might send or Microsoft might send or your friend. You know, a lot of times if your friend gets hacked, it could send a message to you and it looks like it's from your friend, but it's really from this bad person. But so does anybody here know what type of information people get from phishing scams?
I got it from the bank years ago. It looked like it was from SunTrust asking me for verified account number. I can't remember, but I never had a bank ask for my account number.
I'm glad you brought that up. Anybody?
The bank will never ask you.
Yes. So for our listeners,
will never ask
exactly. You. American Express, your banks, your any place on the internet. Most companies have a policy. They will never ask you for your account number. They will never ask you for your PIN, and they will never ask you for your password unless you're actually signing in to their service. So if you click on a verification link and it says you need to sign in, you know, or to verify your account, check that. You know, these companies do not ask you, and it's their policy to never ask you for your information. It's to protect you. Exactly. Anybody else know anything about phishing or have had an experience with phishing? Okay. Well, one phishing scam that we've seen a lot is it's called Google Docs. So Google Docs, D-O-C-S, Docs. It's a fake Google. So a Google Doc. We're going to have a class about this too. But a Google Doc is a word processing tool that's on the internet, made by Google. So you can write a letter using Google Docs. And the cool thing about that is you can share that letter with people and they can edit it as you do. So when we have our weekly meetings at Neighborhood Nerds with amongst the staff, we use a Google Doc to do that. So we're all editing the same letter at the same time. It's awesome. So if I write something and Leo writes something, we both see it at the same time. It's really amazing. But one phishing scam that we've seen lately is a fake Google Docs.
Is Google Docs good or bad?
Google Docs is good. Google Docs is a great tool. It's a great tool for collaboration. But the phishing scam version of it is a fake Google Docs. It's telling you that, hey, we're sharing this with you, and it's taking you to a website, but it's not Google. And then it looks kind of like Google, and then you sign in with your Google name and your password.
How do you know?
That's the thing. We're gonna have a class specifically to tell you that, but I'll tell you now. If you're getting an email from somebody, like let's say you've got an email from Apple, right? You can check who the sender was, and it's gonna say something at apple.com.
Up in the top left.
Up at the top left where you read your email and it says to and from, the from is going to say something like in iTunes at apple.com or support at apple.com, right? So you know that, okay, that's from Apple. If it says something like at web.hacker.net or something, that's not Apple. So you check, see who it's from. And then let's say it's from SunTrust is sending you an email, right? It's going to have a SunTrust account up there. So it's going to be like Sally at suntrust.com.
It's on the left,
It depends on how you read your email, but most of them is at the upper left. And that's the best way to check if it's from the actual person or not. So that's how you can protect yourself. Check who it's from before you click on anything in that email. Because once you click on that email, there's a possibility that you are going to be hacked almost immediately. Okay? Yeah, so
yeah,
keep.
generally, yeah, you see that.
But say I may have your email in here and it comes up because it's in my contact, it'll come up just Tommy. But I can click on that and see.
Exactly. Yeah, so these email systems are convenient these days. You know, it's just instead of showing the full email address, it says just the contact's name. Yeah, and it'll say mom or dad or whoever. And so if you click on that, that's how you can see the actual email address. If it's actually from mom or actually from dad. Or
When you
actually
say click on it, to me, I'm opening the email. Where am I clicking?
Yeah, so when you open the email, and like we'll have a class on this, but when you open the email, at the top left of your email, it'll say who the sender is from. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying clicking on the person. So actually, let me just take a break real quick. Yeah, I'll just show you. Yeah, I'll show you my Yahoo account real quick.
Well, that's all right.
That's where your actual email.
Yeah, so I have a Yahoo account from the early 2000s. Yeah, I don't really use Yahoo anymore, but I do use it for fantasy football, by the way. Fantasy football is awesome on Yahoo. But I'll show you, I don't check my email, so there's no telling what's on here. As far as spam, that's the reason why I left Yahoo. This was before I became a computer nerd. Yahoo was my only email. I left Yahoo and went to Google because I just got so much spam, so much junk spam and phishing and all that good stuff. So I left it.
So different email addresses that have less spam, or is it because you got to?
Well, each company has their own set of spam filters. So Yahoo spam filters are decent, but they're not as good as Google's, in my opinion.
Okay.
You know, and that's what it is, and that's why. Yeah. So if you look on here, so I've got First Tennessee, I've got Photo Bucket, I've got somebody named Dingo, somebody Kenny Man trying to sell me, guitar lessons. Got Best Buy, got Gizmo. So I've got all this junk. I don't ever check it. I mean, I literally never check my Yahoo account. But friend, let me show you. So you get your email, right? Let's look at the one from Gizmo Nerd here, right? Because that one's safe and we know it's safe. I open it up. See up here where it says Gizmo Nerd? That's what I'm talking about clicking. So if I click on it, right here, and it's kind of hard to see because it's kind of grayed out. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Give me just a second. There we go. That's better, huh? So up at the top left, you see what says Gizmo Nerd? So if I'm sending an email, it'll say Tommy Wynn, right? Or if Apple's sending an email, it'll say Apple or something. So we're going to click on Gizmo Nerd. And it's, again, audience, it's going to be different for each email service. It could be different for Gmail, it's different for Yahoo, different for Comcast, but the concept is the same. I'm going to click on Gizmo Nerd. You see right here, gizmo@innerd.com. Can you kind of see that? That lets you know, okay, this is from the right person, right? It's not from some scammer. Let me find one that could be from a scammer. Let me zoom back out here. Go back to the inbox. Let's see. There we go. Dr. Oz, never newest fat burn, right? There's a good chance this is not really from Dr. Oz, right? So I'm going to click right here, Dr. Oz. It's going to say, let me zoom in again on that. Let's see, zoom in. All right, so if I click on the Dr. Oz, right? kathzoj@soapeds.com. That's not Dr. Oz, right? Or that has nothing to do with Dr. Oz. They're using Dr. Oz's name because everybody knows who that is. That's a great example. So this is not really from Dr. Oz. This is not even endorsed by Dr. Oz. They're illegally using his name. So this right here is fake. And that's how you know, because this had nothing to do with Dr. Oz. This is something that, yeah, exactly. So here's what I think you should do. So yeah, definitely spam it. If you've already opened it, then definitely spam it. But I think, Fred, you do a pretty good job of this. If you get an email that you don't know who that person is, you delete it immediately, right? Is that, yeah, so that's the right thing to do. Instead of opening this, I would just delete it immediately. Yep, and that's true for probably 99. Exactly. Yeah. But if you see it, and we're gonna have a whole class on email security. All these are all classes that we're gonna have in the future. But like something like this, obviously that's not a legitimate email. So let's look for some other fun ones here. One that maybe from Adware or something. Dr. Oz's controversial skinny pill. Yeah. So, but it can get. I'm looking for one that would be in. Let's see here.
Now, are these in your spam file or are these in your?
That was just in my inbox, and that's why I don't check my Yahoo.
Okay.
Yeah. And there are other reasons
See,
why.
if I turn on my computer now, I'll have 180 spams.
Yes.
Which I
Really?
Just
every morning I get.
Wow.
The minimum I've ever gotten was 72.
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
overnight, yeah.
So I just
eliminate them. I don't even click on any of them.
Is there a reason he gets that many?
Yahoo. I don't know what it is with Yahoo, but Yahoo email tends to get more spam than others. There's other factors involved, of course. You know, how long you've had your email. You know, that sort of thing. Yeah. All right. So here is Apple's own page on phishing and fake emails. So identify legitimate emails from the Apple Store. Here it is. The first thing they say: iTunes Store or Apple will never ask you to provide personal information. That includes account numbers, social security numbers, birthdays, mother's name, that sort of stuff. And they even have a list. Perfect. If I scroll down here, they will never ask you to provide this via email, right? They're never going to ask you to email them your social security number. That's obviously a security issue. Your mother's maiden name, your credit card number, your CCV code, all of that good stuff. These companies will never ask you to give that to them via email. They will take you to their website before you put that stuff in. So there's vicious create elaborate websites that look like iTunes, that look like Apple. So let me see if we can find some fake ones, right? That looks pretty fake. Oh, that one got taken down. And a lot of these scammers, they don't stay around for long. They jump on to the next thing. They just leave it up enough to get their scams for the month or whatever, and then they get going. Let's see. Okay, so none of those are. Okay, looking for a good example so I can tell you how good it looks, like how much like Apple that it really looks like. Here we go. Yeah. So, dear customer, to get back into your account, you'll need to update your account. Please click on the link to verify. That looks like that could, I might, if I didn't look at it closer, I might have assumed it was from Apple. It even has a little Apple logo, right? And it's signed Apple support, so you have to trust it, right? But like I said, the new trick that you just learned, check on who it's really from. And see this update now? This is a picture, so I can't really click on it. But that's going to take me to some website that's going to look like Apple's website. And I'm going to put in my Apple ID and my password. Then now they have my iTunes account. They can go crazy, And what it is most of the time, your credit card company or Apple, you'll get your money back. It won't be for months. You'll have to spend hours on the phone verifying that you didn't make those purchases. It just can get really annoying. And
so can you go back to that one? Look at like the sell customer.
Yeah, so little stuff like that as well it's obviously not from Apple because it's not professionally spelled.
Yeah, but where could you put
Go
it
over
at
to
the
the top
top?
left, like
Yeah, this is a picture of an email. So this is not really an email, but yeah, normally it would be up here. So
Okay,
yeah, so
would be up there.
yeah, exactly. This is just the content of the email. They're saying this is an example of what you get. Yeah, so don't take the, yep. And another thing you can do is, this is a cool trick actually. If you put your mouse, you see that's that blue there? That's a link, right? That's a link to another website. If you put your mouse over it, most browsers will tell you where that goes, right? Yeah, and so this is an Apple email, right? That should take you to apple.com, all right?
Not to.
Not to gaminges.com. That's not Apple, right? So let me show you an example in my email. Let's go back to my email. American Laser, all right? There's a good chance that this is not really American Laser. So let me see. All right. So on my computer, instead of popping up a window, it pops up down here, right? And I know you can't see that. You can't see that, but I can guarantee you that that's not American Laser. So that's how you can tell. Just put your mouse over top of the link. Don't click on the link. Just put your mouse over it, and it'll either pop up a little message that says this is where it goes, or it'll pop up down here and it'll tell you where it goes.
so there's two ways you can.
There's two ways to do it. Yes, sir. Yep. So that's how you can protect yourself. One example of how you can protect yourself. I'm curious. I'm going to bring this back on my computer just to see what that link is, because I can't see it on the projector. So let me bring this down here on my computer. And that takes me to a website called unops.com. I don't know what that is. That is not American Laser or anything about that, or hair removal. So that's how you protect yourself. Check who it's from. Secondly, check on the links. Don't click on the links. Just put your mouse over it, and most browsers will either pop up a window that's like that, or it will put it down at the bottom of your screen. So very, very important. And that's true for anything. If you're reading the news, if you're on CNN.com or Fox News or whoever you get your news from, before you click on something, just put your mouse over it and see if this is actually CNN or if it's taking me somewhere else. Okay? One way that spyware and malware, so we're going back to that now, one way that malware and spyware they affect you and take advantage of you is they modify websites. They modify the contents of a website. Let's say you go to CNN.com, right? And you've got all these news links. All these pop-ups come up because they modify what actually goes on CNN. They replace good links with bad links that take you to other websites. These guys, it's just terrible. It really is just terrible. But there are definitely many ways that you can protect yourself. All right, so let's move on to the next one here. Okay, everybody okay? Do we need to take a few minutes to stretch or anything? Okay. All right. Well, the users at home, you're welcome to stretch. All right, moving on. So this is we're going to get away from the dark side. We'll spend a few more minutes here just going over some terms that you might know of that are not dark, that are actually very good. So who has heard of the term mobile device? Should be probably everybody in here, right? A mobile device refers to all sorts of things. Usually This is one generic definition of it, but it's usually a device, a computer, more or less, that has a screen, that doesn't use a keyboard, and it responds via touch input. So you use your fingers to drag things around or click things. What constitutes a mobile device? All sorts of things. Smartphones, iPhones, or there's smartphones as well, but iPads, Android tablets, Windows tablets, MP3 players, iPod. One thing they have in common is they're mobile. They're portable. You can take them places. You're not stuck to a desk. And that's what a mobile device is. Who here uses a mobile device in your day-to-day activity? Probably everybody. If you use a cell phone, you're using a mobile device. If you listen to music on your MP3 player or your iPod, that's a mobile device. So yeah, mobile devices are awesome. Now we're going to go over some terms that have to do with mobile technology, so mobile computing. One term that a lot of folks ask me about, and by the way, our tech talks are primarily based on feedback from our clients. So all the questions, all the things that we've gone over, our clients have asked us about it, and now we want to give it to everybody else, either one-on-one or in a tech talk environment. So airplane mode, I've got a lot of questions about airplane mode recently. And does anybody here know what airplane mode is or what it does?
I should use it on the airplane. I don't have to use it though.
Okay. Well, airplane mode, like you see here, you see it on a lot of mobile devices, smartphones, tablets, things like that. What it does is it turns off all of the wireless signal and communication on your device. So it turns off your Wi-Fi, it turns off your Bluetooth, it turns off your 3G, your LTE, and your voice communication. So the reason why it's called airplane mode is, and this is in hot dispute, but is it something, basically, do airplanes get interfered with like a cell phone signal, right? And the reason why it's called airplane mode is they want you to turn off all of the communication on your phone while you're on an airplane so that it does not interfere with the airplane's cellular and radio signals. Makes sense, right? But there's been a lot of myths about it, and there's a lot of facts about it too. Whether or not a cell phone could disrupt an airplane signal. I personally probably think it can't. I can't imagine that my little cell phone could disrupt, an airplane's radio signal. But am I going to run the risk? No. I will turn my phone off when I get on the airplane.
You just turn the phone off.
Exactly. That's the alternative. Now, yeah. So the reason why you have an airplane mode is that you want to. So you have it turned off during lift, takeoff, right? But once you get in the air, you can still leave airplane mode on and use your phone for other things. Apps. Exactly. Yeah. So you're still not interfering, but exactly. Now.
That's what it is. I'll ask later.
Okay. Yeah. So basically. Yeah, you play games and things like that. So now with airplane mode on, your phone all the radios on it are turned off. Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, 3G, voice, all of that is turned off and you can't connect out. Uses of airplane mode include in an airplane, but it also includes other uses. If you want to charge your phone really fast, right? Either turn it off and charge it, that's one way, or turn on airplane mode and charge it. And the reason why is one of the biggest battery uses on your phone is the radio signal, trying to connect to the towers. That's one of the biggest. That's why if you're driving through the interstate or get on a boat and you're far away from cellular signal, you're out in the countryside, you're not going to get any signal and your phone's going to die fast because it's constantly trying to reach out to towers that don't exist.
Just turn the airplane.
Airplane mode will conserve your battery and make it charge faster. Kind of nice. Now, for our international travelers out there, people who go to Europe or anywhere in the world, if you turn on airplane mode first before you or while you're there, that protects you from international roaming, which costs a lot of money. You're talking thousands of dollars for a phone bill because you're roaming on international ground. So basically, turn on airplane mode. That prevents your phone from communicating with these cell towers. There's other settings, of course, that can do that, but airplane mode's a quick one. One thing I tell clients that travel with smartphones is turn on airplane mode and then turn on Wi-Fi. So airplane mode turns off everything, right? But once you have airplane mode on, you can selectively turn certain features on and off. So you can still.
I'm driving along.
Yeah. So.
And I want to be able to get calls at airport or Wi-Fi.
Yeah, exactly. So Wi-Fi doesn't help you do calls the regular. You can check your emails and things like that with Wi-Fi. You can call with Wi-Fi. It just depends on what service you have, and there's different apps. There's Viber. There's a bunch of different apps that you can use for Wi-Fi calling. Yeah, that's the brief skinny on airplane mode. The other one here is called Bluetooth. Everybody's heard of Bluetooth, right? Bluetooth is a wireless technology that allows two devices to connect to each other and share information. So, for example, everybody's heard of Bluetooth in your car, right? So you can set your phone up to sync through your Bluetooth in your car, and you can share things like contacts. You can make phone calls. You can even send text messages, all wirelessly through Bluetooth. And, of course, you can use it for listening to music. One very common use of Bluetooth is to have a Bluetooth speaker that you hook up your iPad, or not hook up, but sync up your iPad and your iPhone or your Android phone to the Bluetooth speaker. That's what I do in my car. I have a Bluetooth set up in my car, and when I get in the car, I just turn on Bluetooth on my phone, and then I play music from my phone onto my car. That way I don't have to carry around CDs, I don't have to listen to whatever's on the radio. I have my music on my phone, and I play it off my phone. It's actually kind of neat. Anybody else here use Bluetooth for anything else other than the things that I just mentioned? One cool thing Bluetooth, a Bluetooth, the little earpiece, the little headpiece, that's Bluetooth, where you can, put a little earpiece in your.
Found one you really like.
I've never found one I really liked.
I have a whole drawer.
Yeah, I have one right now. It's okay, but I can't. It doesn't fit right, and people can't hear me. Yeah. Bluetooth.
Did you find one that?
I will let you know.
I have a drawer.
I will let you know. So yeah, the little earpiece you put in the ear and you can talk with it. So you'll see people walking around talking, and it looks like they're talking to themselves, but they're talking to somebody in their ear. I always thought that was funny. One cool thing these days is they have, well, it's been around for a while, but they have Bluetooth headphones. So they expanded the headset to where you can talk. So now you can actually have wireless speakers or headphones in your ear while you're working out. Let's say you're working out, you can, instead of having the cord, right, it's all wireless. And that's why I use mine. I have a little headset that's wireless, so I can just, it's actually kind of nice. All right, so that's Bluetooth. The next thing we'll talk about, and I think this will be the last thing we'll talk about for today, is cellular data. What is it? What is about it, and some terms that go along with it, right? So you hear this term a lot, 3G, right? You hear that term? You hear the term 4G. What's that all about? Then you hear this term called LTE, right? So you have all of these different terms and out there. So they all refer to different protocols for cellular communication. So 3G was the standard a few years ago, and then and G just stands for generation. So there's 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G. 4G is the fourth generation, and the common protocol for 4G is called LTE. LTE. E is in Edward. Larry, Tommy, Edward. So LTE. And so these days, most phones that you get today are going to support LTE. And LTE is just a much faster way to communicate. So you can have, you can check your emails faster, you can watch videos faster, you can connect to the internet with your devices faster. It's much faster than 3G. Most of the service these days will have LTE in almost all of the U.S. So you've got T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, US Cellular. All of these companies have invested in LTE and 4G infrastructure. But that's what cellular data is. But what it allows you to do is you can check your email, get on the internet, all of those things through your phone, and it goes through cellular data. And that's what that's about. Any questions about cellular data? Does that kind of sum it up, make sense? Yeah, so cellular data, like I said, it's for you to get on the internet, on your devices. The other way, things you do with cellular data is talk, right? So you can use it for a voice, and you can use it for sending text messages.
I read something about there's 5G coming along.
Yeah, that's the Mr.